dealt with in Congress that are impacting all of you directly and indirectly, and then open it up for talk about some of the local issues that we've been working on with our local community business folks and our city folks, and then open it up for question and answers and hear from all of you, which is very important. But to kind of start things off this morning, I'll try to put things in perspective. You know, the last month of August, we had recess from Washington, D.C., and we were out in the district, and we called it our district work period. It gave me an opportunity to travel through all 8 counties that I represent in the 7th Congressional District, and to talk to people, and to listen to people. And so I thought I'd start off with a little bit of a joke, a story that I think kind of put things in perspective. Some of you may know that in Congress, when we're in session, we vote sometimes very late in the evening. Tonight, we'll vote at 6:30 in the evening. I'll catch a flight later on today and fly back to Washington. We'll vote in the evening. And it was one late night where Congress had just finished votes, late night votes and committee meetings, and the members of Congress were breaking up and they were walking home. And as they were walking home, all of a sudden, one of the congressmen was walking back to his apartment. A mugger wearing a ski mask jumped in the path of this well-dressed man and put a gun right up to him and said, "Give me your money." Well, this congressman who had been serving in Congress for a number of years looked at the man and said, "What are you doing? You can't do this to me. I'm a United States congressman." Well, the rocker didn't know what to do, so he kind of lowered his gun, he dropped his gun, and he thought for a minute, he said, "Well, in that case, give me my money back." And I tell you, as I traveled through all 8 counties in my district, I was hearing similar tones from our constituents throughout all 8 counties of the district, that the perception that politicians are not being responsible with our taxpayer dollars, that the American people have lost faith in our government. And it's something that I've taken very seriously, that I've taken back to Washington, D.C., and I encouraged my colleagues in Congress to be listening to what their constituents are saying, because I think it's very important. You know, we all know that our nation is going through some difficult economic times, and our local communities, families, and businesses have seen their fair share of financial struggles, and Springfield is no exception. The economy, energy, and now health care are some of the major issues that we've been dealing with in Congress in my first 8 months in Congress, and that we're going to continue to be moving forward on these issues as we progress through the rest of this 2-year cycle in Congress. And I can tell you, as I transitioned from the state legislature, which was a very good training ground to move into Congress. And I'm filling some big shoes with my predecessor, Congressman Dave Hobson, with Mike DeWine before Dave, Bud Brown before Mike. These are big shoes to be filling for the 7th Congressional District. And as a new member coming in, to see what's happened so far, the pace in which bills have gone through Congress, the magnitude in which these bills, as far as dollars and spending and so forth, that have gone through Congress, how these bills have been passed through Congress, has been an eye-opener for me. I'm not sure anyone could have been prepared for what we have faced these first 8 months in Congress. It's been a challenge. But we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility as a nation to try to turn this economy around, to try to ensure the security of all of our American public and all Americans. And it's a responsibility that I take very seriously. And as we began moving into the first few months of this Congress, you know, I was sworn in as your newest congressman. We had the new administration, President Obama, and the new administration was sworn in, and we right away began work. And the first few bills that we dealt with were directed at trying to turn this economy around. And I think that was a good thing, because no matter where I traveled throughout my district, and this is true from January when I was sworn in till today, what I hear around my district is jobs, jobs, and jobs. Where are the jobs? We need jobs. We need more jobs. So the #1 issue right now is jobs in the economy. And I believe as we began moving through this process of trying to turn our economy around, let me tell you, as a member of the Budget Committee, I had concerns with the direction we're going. I was very vocal about this. As a small business owner, once, as you all, many of you are in this room, I had concerns that we weren't focusing enough energy on our small businesses and our families. The first bill that I was faced with was the bailout of the financial markets, the second half of TARP, a bill that I had concerns about as a candidate when government began moving into the financial markets. I can tell you as a member of Congress sitting on budget, and I sat right across, about as close as John Landis and myself from Kim Geithner, Secretary Geithner, and we asked Secretary Geithner a number of questions about that bill, including what was done with the first $350 billion that was given to the Treasury Department to try to open up, loosen financing and credit for businesses. And we couldn't get a clear answer. It was frustrating to me as a member of Congress not to be able to get an answer from the Secretary, a detailed answer, a complete answer, not to be able to get it from our financial institutions. And we then went ahead and asked the Secretary, what are you going to do with the second $350 billion if we pass this bill? And the response was something about, we have ideas. Again, it was very general, no specific plan on what they were going to do with that money. And I had concerns about that. And I voted no on the bailouts bill, voted no on the financial bailouts bill, no on the auto bailouts. I just didn't see a plan in place where those dollars were going to get into the business communities to help open up financing, open up credit, to help families that were struggling right now. There was no clear plan. There was no accountability for how the previous dollars were being spent. There was no transparency on how these dollars were being spent. And I had concerns about that as a member of the Budget Committee. The next bill that I was faced with was the stimulus package, or the massive spending bill that was going to turn this economy around. Again, we were faced with a tremendous number of challenges as far as on the committee. But when that bill was introduced, right away it became apparent to me as the direction that this administration and this Congress was going to try to move to turn our economy around. It's not to say one way is right or one way is wrong. Clearly, their intention was to have a major infusion of government spending to try to expand government, and that is how we were going to get out of this economic crisis. With all due respect, I happen to disagree with that. Having been a small business owner, I believe we had a great opportunity to really focus and target in on the economic engine of this country, and that being small businesses. Our office, on the other hand, back in the district, was getting more and more phone calls from families who were having very difficult times as far as making it from paycheck to paycheck, businesses just struggling to make it payroll to payroll, not being able to get the financing, not being able to get the credit to be able to continue their payroll, to be able to expand and create new jobs. And on the other hand, you know, I'm being asked to vote on a bill that was expanding government and having a major infusion of government spending. I had deep concerns about that as a business owner. I felt we could have won a different route and done a better job. But that bill was passed. It was passed in a partisan manner. Once it was passed, you know, the first thing we did in our office was kind of do a 180. We said, all right, this is the direction we're going to go. We sat down with our local elected officials and tried to work to see how we could draw as much of that money down to the 7th Congressional District, including Springfield, including Clark County, to try to create economic growth, economic development, to try to create jobs in this area and help our business community. And we've been somewhat successful, I think, in Springfield in bringing some of that money down. It's taken a lot of effort. The first round, I was very disappointed that we didn't get our fair share in this area. And right away, sat down with the Director of the Department of Transportation, and I told her, I said, first of all, I want to commend you on the process as far as the transparency. All the projects are put on the internet and posted there so everybody could see that. But I'm very confused as to how that money was distributed and why we weren't getting our fair share in this area where we had shovel-ready sites ready to go. We had businesses that could create jobs and sustain those jobs over the long term if you just give us that starting money. We've now started to see some of that money come down into the Clark County area, the Greene County area, which is good. We still haven't gotten our fair share, in my opinion, but we're going to continue to work to try to draw those dollars down if that's the direction and the policy that we're going to be following.